Hi, good day. Let's talk about Bedazzled. How to beat the devil and get a happy ending. So, this movie was released in 2000. It starred Brendan Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley, and it was actually a remake of a movie that came out in 1967. So, that older movie, I've seen some clips. It seems thought provoking and funny as well. So, check that out. And that earlier 60s movie was an adaptation of a legend and also an opera about a man named Faust who made his own deal with the devil. Now that I haven't seen, but you may have heard of the phrase or the term a Faustian deal. So it is a common story about somebody making a deal with the devil. So in this story of ours, meet Elliot, so played by Brendan Fraser. He has no friends, no love, no respect, etc., etc. So all the things that, he's needy in every way. He has nothing, he needs everything, right? And then he's really crushing on Allison, his workmate, and he found himself saying, I would give anything to have her in my life. And in that moment, as soon as he uttered those words, tadan, the devil appeared, played by Elizabeth Hurley. So the devil offered seven wishes in exchange for his soul. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to the wishes. And you may have seen this movie. It's really fun. It's such a joy to watch, and I'm sure the actors had a joy as well, enjoyed playing them as well. Everybody involved in everything here, costume design, the accents, the set design, I don't know, it's so fun. uh it's like several movies in one, I swear. It's so fun. So okay, what would you wish for, right? Um, Go all out with the first wish, and this is what many of us would probably do. Um, Elliot wished, and the nice thing here is each wish is not just one word. It's actually a package deal, so you actually have, if you think about it, more than one wish at a time. So first off, okay, Elliot immediately wished that he was married to Allison, that he was rich and very powerful. Okay, let's do it. So he woke up as, very rich, very powerful, and married to Allison. But sadly, it wasn't long before cracks appeared. So, yeah, the devil did fulfill her end of the bargain, right? All of the things in the wish came true. However, yeah, now we have the twist. So they're married, but Allison despises him. He's rich because of crime, so it's totally uncharacteristic of Elliot, the person. And he has power, but it's gonna be taken away because he has a lot of competition from his fellow criminals, and also the police are after him and all that. So even though he did get his wishes, uh, it's all going downhill from there. So it's like he's actually worse off if you think about it. So he quickly learned that worldly pleasures won't make you happy. So okay, so he learned from that. And now he knows now how to improve, what to wish for, right? So he's now at least clear what to wish for and what not to. So he thought about it. Well, what does Allison want? Why was she so spiteful towards him? So okay, he Elliot now wished to be what she wanted, to be sensitive. So he, of course, went to extreme. I want to be the most emotionally sensitive man in the world. And he specified, learning from the previous wish, right? So he specified now, and I want to be loved by Allison. So, so that there won't be a loophole. Okay, so done. So the devil did uh, fulfill the wish. However, apparently, Allison didn't know what she wanted because when they did have the encounter, Allison realized, okay, she wanted someone else. She didn't want an emotionally sensitive man after all. Yeah, it's like she realized it when she finally had Elliot like that. That okay, I didn't want this anyway. That was just a theory in a journal. She realized that's not what she wanted. Then of course, Elliot had to adjust as well. Okay, so that didn't turn out right. Now, okay, so what would be more attractive than somebody who is sensitive, right? So he wanted to be admired by Allison and many others, right? He wanted to be liked and loved, and he still wanted to be rich, but in a good way, no longer doing crimes, right? Nothing dodgy. So he wanted to be athletic. Okay, so done. He's now a basketball player and he's like MVP of everything. Michael Jordan times 100. Okay. But it still went wrong because yeah, he was so he was so excellent in the physical that he lacked intelligence. He lacked development of other things, right? So he only excelled in that one thing in basketball. So he wasn't good in socializing, he wasn't good in thinking. Okay, so that did not turn out well. The character of Allison suddenly, said goodbye. Okay, bye. I'm not attracted to you anyway. Okay, so now what else will Elliot wish for? Okay, so now he realized he doesn't want to be just physically attractive. He has to be intellectually attractive. So he wanted to be smart, sophisticated, and famous. And he specified in his wish, I want Allison to fall for me. Okay, done. So he's now a famous author, very smart, very witty. So, eh, especially in comparison to the previous basketball athlete stereotype. So, this one is all very intellectual. Okay, and Allison did fall for him. Yeah, they had a wonderful evening together, very loving. Yeah. Okay, and then yeah, okay, yes. So I'm going to get her now, Elliot was thinking. So she is falling for him, but the twist is he did not fall for her. So nothing against homosexuals, but in this case, yeah. So the twist was not only was Elliot homosexual, but he's already married to someone else. So yeah, again another case of the devil did fulfill her end of the bargain. The devil gave him what he wished for, but still there's something that goes wrong. Okay, so uh Elliot is now running out of wishes, right? So now he says, "Okay, enough of these self centered wishes. I want to make the world better. I want to do something great for mankind. I want to be noble and unselfish. And Allison, I want her to treat me seriously and with respect." Okay, so he's sounding a little more selfless now, but he's still uh fixed on the idea that he wants to be with Allison, right? That's the premise of the entire movie. That's why he entered into a deal with the devil to get her into his life, right? So ultimately, even though he's doing all these things, ultimately the end goal was to have Allison in his life. Okay, so the devil did fulfill his wish. Okay, so Elliot became Abraham Lincoln on the night of his assassination. So yeah, he didn't even enjoy, the company of Allison for 5 minutes, right? But he was respected. He was doing a lot of things for mankind, and she was treating him seriously and with respect. But sadly, it was still not meant to be because the character, the life that Elliot was in, is going to end in 5 minutes. Okay, so that's five wishes, five totally different lives and situations. And now, Elliot is running out of wishes. So he told the devil, really, there's nothing to want. Well, actually, there's a lot I still want, but nothing you can give me. I realized it doesn't work by magic, so there's no shortcuts. And Elliot realized it's not how far we go in life, but how we get there that really matters. So wishing for a get rich quick scheme, get your wish done immediately, it doesn't work because there's still something that goes wrong. So really, we have many good plans and dreams, right? It's not bad to have a wish, but what makes it devilish? What makes it, the devil's way? Because we often have selfish intentions and we choose shortcuts. Yeah, that's what makes it off. The way we go about it. So, like Elliot said, it's how we get there that really matters. So, finally, Elliot turned to God, but he doesn't know how, right? So he just dropped by a church and he was asking God for help, but he didn't know, and he got to chat with a priest. So he was reluctant, but he eventually opened up to the priest and said, okay, I made a deal with the devil, and here's what happened, blah, blah, blah. So, of course, logically, the priest thought he was crazy because Elliot was talking about all these situations, including, getting a Big Mac from the devil and all that. Okay. So, the priest called the police on him, and Elliot got arrested. But remember, Elliot asked God's help and he found God in an unexpected place. Literally, he wasn't looking, but God was on the move. So he ended up in a cell, and his cellmate, they got to chatting, and his cellmate said, okay, you sold your soul, but you can't really sell something that doesn't belong to you in the first place. Your soul belongs to God. So suddenly, that took Elliot's focus off himself, and then he realized, "Oh, right, you have a point there." Yeah. So, okay, what about you and I? What about us as an audience? So I think we can all agree that we came from somewhere, something, perhaps someone. Does acknowledging that we have a source, does this take away our power? No, it actually is empowering. Knowing we can connect anytime to the source of universal life, love, and happiness. So let's call that source God. Who are you? Elliot asked his cellmate. They were talking about God, and the cellmate said, God is that universal spirit that animates and binds all things in existence. The devil is just here to confuse you. It's okay, we all make mistakes, but you'll get it. Just open up your heart and mind, right? So remember, Elliot sought God and God answered. But seriously, when Elliot asked, "Who are you?" Then the cellmate said, "Just a friend, brother, just a friend." He didn't even need to say who he is. Actually, we could say, "Oh, he's an angel, a messenger," right? He brought God's message, but he could be God himself as well. And as we said, since we all came from the same divine source, then we can also say we embody God. There is God in us and in all the people around us. So Elliot found love in a hopeless place, just like Rihanna's song. And I really love when, we see it in pop culture, right? Okay, these can be gimmicks or it could be sincere. It doesn't matter. I'm thankful when we have reminders from pop culture that draw us closer to God. So you might have heard Kesha's song, literally called Praying. And Lady Gaga has a song where she was holding a rosary and, and she looks like she was praying as well. And Katy Perry has a Jesus tattoo, an actual tattoo on her wrist. And there's this wonderful movie that I also want to talk about one time, Easy A. So just like Elliot here, Easy A. I think that's the first movie of Emma Stone. So there was a misunderstanding, and then this high schooler was rejected by the religious people, right? The people who are supposed to be loving. They're the ones who rejected Emma Stone's character. And so she went to church and confession. She asked and sought help from God, but she did not find it in the conventional church. She did not get to talk to a priest, and she was rejected by a mob led by the religious people. But Emma Stone's character found God in her loved ones, in her family, in her potential love partner. So she found unconditional love. And it was when she was at the rock bottom, when she didn't deserve it at all. So that's actually what makes it um even wonderful. Yeah. The love when we don't deserve it, but we still got it. Right? That makes it even more valuable, right? So yeah, when we found love in a hopeless place, it makes it even all the more precious. So Elliot had his dark night of the soul. His ego died. Like when at first, right? Remember, all his wishes were actually to fulfill his ego, right? It was about getting Allison, but he didn't really love Allison. It was really to fulfill his needs, his wants. He wanted Allison for himself. And that's ego right there. But he ran out of wishes. I mean, he doesn't have anything else, what seemed important to him before, like having a relationship and even getting the respect of his coworkers and his boss. He doesn't seem to care anymore, right? He no longer sought their approval because he was suddenly exposed to bigger truths. He now found himself in a spiritual awakening. He's now thinking about his soul, about the creator, about his soul being lost to the devil and all that. Who cares if he's late by 30 minutes to work, right? What does that matter anymore? So you can see his demeanor truly changed from the start of the movie, if you can compare. Actually, when the ego dies, it looks like the end already, right? The end of the story. But it's actually just the beginning because he's now being uh, aware of his soul, of his existence beyond his government name, beyond his 9 to 5 job, beyond the external, superficial things that we see in each other, right? What makes us alive, right? Um, why are we here? What is our purpose? What what is our soul all about, right? So that when the ego dies, we are left with the soul. And that's where Elliot is in this scene. The failure of the physical, material, three-dimensional world enabled Elliot to look elsewhere for fulfillment. So thank God for those gentle nudges when we lose everything according to this world. Okay, so now he has one more wish. Yeah, if you we'll explain later. He actually has one wish left, but then he was actually reluctant to, to make one. But okay, okay, he was prodded by the devil. So okay, Elliot finally said, "Okay, I have one more wish. I wish that Allison will be happy." Take note, Elliot doesn't care anymore if Allison will be with him. He just wished that Allison will have a happy life, period. He didn't even care about himself. So that's the deal breaker. He didn't know that at the time, he sincerely just wished Allison well. And the devil said, "Well, that's the way out of the deal, is to wish for the good of someone else, to stop thinking just about yourself, right? To start thinking and living for other people." So it's wonderful. Elliot got his wish and got to keep his soul too. So he got his wish. Allison, it turns out, is happy, but not happy with him. But it doesn't matter. Elliot didn't wish for them to be together, right? So, but he still tried. He still tried to ask her out, but she's already spoken for, that's fine, right? So they ended, uh said goodbye in a nice way, and Elliot got his wish, and Elliot got to keep his soul. And isn't that literally and metaphorically how we get to keep our soul? The longer we keep to ourselves, and we want everything greedy, all of those will be taken away. But the more we give, the more we get more about, around us, right? The more we share, the more we help other people, the more it comes back to us. So how wonderful is that? So yeah, so when Elliot chose to sacrifice, in a sense, right? Because he gave his wish essentially for someone else, right? But he was also rewarded. He also got happiness. Happiness because he gets to keep his soul. Happiness because he knows someone is happy. But wait, there's more. He also had his own happy ending. So, how amazing is that? Actually, uh, it's like one plot twist after another. So, hey, Elliot didn't wish for this, but it still happened as a result of his growth, as a result of him choosing to love himself, and choosing to respect himself, and choosing to value other people and think about them as well. So he's now ready to be in a relationship. And we can argue that, perhaps God, perhaps the devil, through this, wish, made this wish for him. We could say that. Or we could also say, well, it's just natural that that will happen because he is already ready, right? So, it's not bad to have wishes. The temptation is in looking for shortcuts to get them. That's where the temptation is. Elliot complained to the devil, "You always mess things up." But that's the point. Life isn't perfect. So Elliot learned the lesson after five, six wishes. He stopped wishing for a different life. He chose to accept himself and what cannot be changed. And then that's when he sought to change the things that can be changed. God gives us infinitely better than what we can ask for or imagine or wish. Right? So keep on wishing, keep on asking or imagining, right? It's not bad to wish. It's just in how we get them. The ending is wonderful because Elliot got way better than what he wished for. He met someone who looks like his crush, so the beauty aspect is there, check. But internally, this new lady is actually way more compatible with him, too. And there's no striving, he's just himself. He doesn't have to meet, Allison's expectations or what. By himself, this new lady is suitable for him and vice versa. And more importantly, Elliot is already secure in himself. He already loves himself. So we are ready to be in a relationship, give and receive love from others when we first love ourselves. We can only be truly happy in a relationship when we are first happy with ourselves. So let's start with ourselves. You may have heard of people who win millions in the lottery and then eventually lose it all and become poorer than they were before, right? So that's just one example. If we're not okay on the inside, we cannot be okay on the outside. It's great if we can change our external situation, right? It's only natural to wish for more money, better relationships, more power, fame, talent, etc. But when we get them, are we ready to receive them and keep those things? If we're okay on the inside, we will be able to reach our goals and keep them. And so, internal change, self improvement, is more effective than external change. Let's start with self love. We teach others how to treat us. Do we give ourselves love, respect, or the opposite? For example, for Elliot, you can see the drastic change at the start and at the end of the movie. He used to look for love and acceptance outside himself. But with the journey of the wishes, he sees how futile this is. Eventually, he runs out of options and had to turn to himself. He became strong and brave enough to stand up for himself in front of his bullies. He overcame his shyness and got to ask Allison out. And he stuck to his principles, even in front of the Queen of Darkness herself. So actually, at the end of the movie, there's a song by Sister Hazel playing, saying, "If you wanna be somebody else, change your mind." So that's what you have to change, right? So it really fit the movie because Elliot at first, okay, what do I change in order to get love from others? So he's changing his circumstances. He's changing his outward appearance, and then later on he realized, no, it has to come from me. It has to come from me loving myself, respecting myself, and then all these things will follow. And we make our wishes happen. Of course, we ask help from God. Or you can argue in this case, Elliot asked help from the devil, but it still wasn't enough. Elliot said, "I wish." And the devil said, "It is done." And that's why it looked like there were only six wishes. There was actually another initial wish, a Big Mac and a Coke, right? So it was just an example. Elliot thought it was just a trial. right? So he said, I wish for a Big Mac and Coke. So the devil took him to a fast food restaurant. And actually, she didn't pay for it. It was still Elliot who paid for it. So Elliot said, I could have gotten that myself. And actually, he did. But what happened? Elliot wished something, and the devil said, it is done. But Elliot still did it himself. So why look for shortcuts? Why figuratively sell your soul to the devil when you can just do it yourself? So when Elliot kept on thinking, oh, I wish I can have Allison in my life, then stand up and just ask her out. Plain and simple. So at the end of the movie, he simply just did that, right? After all was said and done, after 5 lifetimes of crazy things happening, right? Crazy lifetimes, including living in Abraham Lincoln's time. He just got up the nerve and asked her out. So let's make our wish and then we make it happen. God is love. So we see different traits that we can say are, universal principles: love, truth, freedom. First off, God is love. For most of the movie, Elliot's wish was for himself to have a relationship with Allison, right? But actually, he was just wishing a happy life for himself. He wasn't thinking of Allison, whether Allison was going to be happy with him. He was thinking of himself. What do I want? What do I want? Me, 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 me. Right. And that's why the devil said the deal breaker is when you start thinking of other people. Actually, there was a scene midway when Elliot said, I should be thinking about other people. I should be using my wishes to end world hunger, have world peace and all that. But he didn't. He still thought of himself, right? At least he thought of Allison now and not just himself for his final wish, right? So when Elliot sincerely wished for somebody else to be happy, right? Yeah. So he wished for Allison to be happy whether or not they'll be together. Then Elliot reached a point finally where he actually loved Allison. Apparently, before it was just a crush, or we could say it's lust because it was to fulfill his own desires, right? What is love? I define it, if you have your slum book, your autograph, I define love as doing what's best for the other person, right? So when Elliot finally wished, I hope Allison will be happy. That's an act of love. It's no longer for himself. But Elliot can only do that when he also loved himself enough that he no longer needed love from outside. Now, Elliot can be a source of love to others. It's coming from him outside towards others. God is love. God is also truth, right? So for the entire movie, we don't see the devil as a sadistic torturer and murderer, not the dark side, shall we say. It's more light. But we still see a lot of manipulation and deception, and this can lead to much harm. She would lie, cheat, change the topic, just to get her own way. You see it in her outfits, in the wishes, right? How they were done in her nightclub, in her car. All of these of the devil are fancy and attractive on the surface only. But when you look at the inside, that's where all the problems are. For example, yeah, when Elliot went and lived out the wishes, now the cracks appear, now the problems arise. Also, there's a scene when Elliot visited the same nightclub of the devil. when he had his dark night of the soul and then he visited the nightclub again in the morning. It wasn't as posh and fun and glamorous as before. Now, it was just filled with all the zombies, all the damned, the devil said. So, yeah, now you see beyond the appearance, beyond the glitter and the glitz. It's now all the shit. Meanwhile, God is truth. The God character didn't need any fancy things, he didn't need any bells and whistles. He just appeared and spoke the truth. That's it. And it had the power to change Elliot's life for the good. So, God is love, God is truth, and God is freedom. Actually, Elliot had the freedom to choose all throughout the movie. And he exercised that power, that choice. Even when he seemed trapped in the deal, Elliot was always free to choose his wishes. He was free to think for himself, free to ask for help from the devil and from God. Note also that both God and the devil only appeared when Elliot asked for them. So, how's that for power and freedom, right? And even when they appeared, again, they only offer, right? The door. They only show the door, give the offer. It is still Elliot who makes the choice. By the way, so the devil here wasn't presented as someone cruelly evil, sadistic, torturing, like we said. But she's just like a naughty, mischievous contrarian, an agent of chaos, you know. And sometimes what she does, it's just rebellious, but unconventional, but even sometimes, actually makes sense, right? Sometimes it's bad, right? Violating privacy, causing traffic jams and accidents. Okay, that's bad, right? But then sometimes she would say, okay, no homework, just relax. And that's not always a bad thing. We give our kids too much homework, right? As a teacher, I could say that's not evil. We need a rest. But anyway, even in this story, right? Our story is about a man looking for love, right? So we don't need to talk about war. We don't need to talk about the bigger battle between good and evil. But is it possible that whatever harm or evil that exists can be explained or simplified as one person looking for love in all the wrong places, right? So even if we say, oh, it's just a simple love story, this movie, right? We just might be able to say life is fractal. You have the small scale, and on a bigger scale, it's just the same thing, right? So whether we're talking about one life or all the people in one city, one country, or in the world, or in the multiverse, maybe it's the same thing, just played on a bigger scale. So even though this might seem like just a simple movie and just chaotic, we can see how easily this could lead to bigger war, darker evil, and so on. But anyway, how can we say what is godly living? It's natural to be selfish, right? To want things for ourselves. And that's why it is also a good reminder to love God and to love others as well. Don't just love ourselves. But we can also go the other extreme, like Elliot did. Elliot is just thinking about others, right? And he's too complacent and he's too passive, right? Maybe he's too kind. Yeah, he forgot to love himself, right? We can easily go to that extreme as well. So, actually, at the start of the movie, the devil said, I want you to be happy, to take control of your own destiny. So that's not bad in itself. Just have a healthy balance. And that's why, don't just love ourselves, love others. Don't just love others, love ourselves. And acknowledge that we all came from a divine source. Good and evil are in you. The term Satan actually means enemy. Some religions talk of an eternal war between good and evil, right? So you have sworn enemies for eternity, God and the devil. In this movie, it's just more of a friendly competition. And there are many who believe in impersonal forces. So they're not actual beings, but just forces or just beliefs. God and the devil may just be personifications, similar to assigning a god for death, a god for lightning, agriculture, all the different patron saints and gods and goddesses. Regardless what you believe, this is something to think about. So the devil tells Elliot, the whole good and evil thing, it really comes down to you. You don't have to look hard for heaven and hell. They are right here on earth. You make the choice. So, like we said, the opportunities for good and for evil are both offered to Elliot. And every time it was Elliot who chose. So, we have a saying, right? The devil made me do it. But no, we have a choice. And that's part of it, right? Don't blame others. Even, our temptations. Yeah, temptations are just offers. It's up to us whether we give in to temptation, right? If somebody invites you to do good or to do bad, what will you do? Take responsibility for our choices, for our actions. That's it. And some more. So many lessons. I love this movie, right? Some more postscripts. All the world's a stage, according to Shakespeare, and all the people in the world are just characters. So, whenever Elliot makes a wish, Elliot, Allison, the devil, and Elliot's friends are recast as different characters. So, this might look like, in Wizard of Oz and Groundhog Day and Free Guy. You have reincarnation as well. So whether these are just dreams or maybe an alternate reality being created, or in the next life, you are just souls in different bodies playing different characters and situations, right? What happens to the original story? Or maybe, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, merrily, merrily. Life is but a dream. Maybe this is all just a dream. And all of those other situations are also dreams. But I would like to think whatever the reality is, we learn from it. Let's save time by understanding ourselves, being self aware, and let us have empathy for others. Let's learn from them as well. Learn these lessons so that we can avoid repeating the same mistakes in this life, and we can avoid repeating those in the next lives if we have those next lives. So actually, there are some who believe that, yeah, because we came from the same source, it's just like the source divided itself into different bodies, different beings to interact with itself, right? Like, for example, a girl playing with her dolls. Okay, I'll be like this. I'll be the bad guy. I'll be the good guy. This is the princess. This is the prince, and all. So, you're playing with your toys, or you and your fellow kids, you role play. Okay, I will play the bad guy in this situation. Tomorrow, I'll play the good guy, right? And then we learn, right? Okay, this person wasn't really bad. It was just some lessons, or it was just something that they had to do because da da da, right? So, yeah, let's learn from each other, right? And hopefully, we learn and we improve for the better, so that with each interaction, right, we get to understand and accept each other, and hopefully, yeah, be better people. Yeah, so whether we do live in a dream, in an alternate timeline, in a simulation, what's that, in a reincarnated life, right? Whatever, let's learn and let's improve. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. So it's funny that when they peeked into Allison's journal, Allison said, I'm looking for a sensitive man, right? So Elliot wished to be sensitive. But apparently, Allison didn't want that in reality. She just wrote that in her journal. She thought that's what she wanted. But when the situation presented itself, I hate sensitive men. Okay, so that's not what she wanted. Meanwhile, Elliot told the devil, I think about honesty, hard work, doing good for somebody else. But when he made his wishes, where was that? Where was the hard work there? Where's the doing good for somebody else for their behalf, not just for him to earn handsome points, right? His five wishes were completely selfish, and the sixth still had a selfish agenda. Finally, the seventh wish, he no longer wanted to use it anymore. But the devil said, no, no, you have seven wishes. You have to make a wish. Okay, fine. Then I wish that Allison will have a happy life. Elliot finally wished to do good for someone else. And also, Elliot really, really wants his soul. And that's another illustration. We often take for granted what we have until we realize we might lose them. Right? Have we thanked our Creator for the oxygen we breathe today? Right. So, uh, the God character says in the movie, Elliot can't really lose his soul, right? Because it belongs to the Creator. Or we could say, well, because it's the soul assigned to us. So we cannot give our identity away. It is God given to us, right? But the point is, yeah, still, Elliot took it for granted until he just made the deal. Oh, yeah, 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 okay. I'll give my soul for those seven wishes. We were one. So when Elliot and the devil peeked into the apartment, Allison didn't see them. Yeah, so there was one moment when they merged together, and it was so surreal. And Elliot said, "It was like in Ghost, we were one." Yeah, it seemed, just something playful, but something to think about. Are we not all one, right? If we all came from one source, then why don't we practice that? Why don't we give the same love to each other? Why don't we acknowledge the divinity in all of us, right? And not just for people, how about in animals, in plants, in air, in the trees and the soil, right? So we have a source, yeah, unity, looking to learn and to love in the context of community. Community, you can say, is common unity, right? So similar to an orchestra, if it's just one note, so it's just one note. But when you have different musical instruments and playing different notes, but in community, then we will have harmony. So, not just different people, but even God and the devil, what if they are part of, oneness, right? Here in the movie, we have God and the devil working together to bring Elliot these different existences, these different experiences, right? God and the devil are both offering something to Elliot, just, the light and dark side of things. Like a coin, right? You have the head and the tail, but it's in one coin, right? You have day and night, right? Sun and moon, but they are part of the same experience, light and dark. So again, I'm not justifying that we, do cruel things and bad things, but sometimes it's just the shadow side, shall we say, or the dark side or the negative side, right? Yeah, the not so good side, but not necessarily the bad side. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. Speaking of 666 sense, so Allison did not notice when somebody was sneaking into her apartment, but an animal did, the cat. So I hear cats are our guardians in the spiritual realm, while dogs are our guardians in the physical realm. So that sounds legit. But it doesn't have to be limited to cats, right? I mean, think about all the things that we can sense, and maybe there's something beyond the five senses. And it is said that especially children and animals might sense some things that regular people do not. So take note when your cat is staring at the wall or something, maybe something's there. Something beyond the physical. Okay, so thank you for listening to all of that. I would like to end with this. So, one of my favorite Bible verses: God gives us a spirit not of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So, thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day and always. And may we always wish for and live for love, truth, and freedom. Thank you, and God bless.